Friends, fellow travelers on this extraordinary, often perplexing yet undeniably precious journey we call life, pause with me for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel the very pulse of existence within you. Now, let's truly consider what it means to be alive, to be profoundly, authentically, and irrevocably human. In an era saturated with fleeting images, constant digital noise, and the seductive allure of superficial connections, where the sheer volume of information often threatens to drown out any genuine signal, we stand in desperate need of a guiding star, a moral compass to navigate the churning, sometimes violent currents of our modern existence. It is precisely in moments like these that the timeless wisdom of voices like Dr. Cornel West becomes not just relevant, but absolutely essential. He is more than just an academic. He is a prophet in our midst, a titan of intellectual thought, a relentless advocate for justice, and a blazing beacon of moral clarity. He delivered a truth so fundamental, so foundational, that it must be etched into the very bedrock of our collective consciousness, a truth that echoes through the corridors of history and resonates with the deepest longings of the human spirit. He said, and I urge you to let these words reverberate within the deepest chambers of your being, challenging your assumptions and igniting your spirit. To be human at the most profound level is to encounter honestly the inescapable circumstances that constrain us, yet muster the courage to struggle compassionately for our own unique individualities and for more democratic and free societies. Let those words marinate. Let them seep into the very marrow of your bones. To encounter honestly the inescapable circumstances that constrain us. What does that truly mean for us, for you, for me, in the intricate, often chaotic tapestry of our everyday lives? It means a radical act of transparency. It means ripping back the veil of denial, stripping away the comforting illusions and looking squarely, unflinchingly into the very face of the limits that press in on us from every side. It means acknowledging the formidable walls, both visible and invisible, that rise up around us. The crushing, relentless weight of economic pressures that keep so many tethered to a cycle of scarcity. The insidious, deeply rooted grip of systemic injustices that have calcified over generations, perpetuating cycles of disadvantage and despair. It's the lingering, often unspoken shadows of historical burdens, centuries of oppression, discrimination, and violence that continue to shape our present realities, influencing everything from the neighborhoods we live in to the opportunities laid before us. And yes, it's also the intensely personal heartbreaks, the private traumas, the profound losses, and the gnawing insecurities that seem to shackle our very spirit, whispering doubts and fears into our ears.
Think about the myriad forms these constraints take. It's the stark, unyielding reality of bills that demand payment with an almost brutal regularity. Bills that often stretch our individual and collective resources to the absolute breaking point, forcing impossible choices. It's the silent, often solitary battles we fight within the quiet confines of our own minds, the insidious anxieties that gnaw at our peace, the relentless doubts that whisper insidious narratives of inadequacy, the internal struggles with purpose, identity, and self-worth that can feel like an existential crisis. It's the prejudice, both overtly hostile and subtly ingrained, that rears its ugly head in our communities, in our workplaces, in our schools, in our digital spaces, and sometimes, heartbreakingly, even within our own families, diminishing the human spirit and denying fundamental dignity to vast swaths of humanity. It's the illnesses, both physical and mental, that challenge our bodies and minds, sometimes striking with a sudden, devastating force, sometimes manifesting as a slow, grinding persistence that erodes our resilience. And it's the profound, gut-wrenching grief that tears at our souls, the agonizing loss of loved ones that leaves an unfillable void, serving as a stark, painful reminder of life's fragile impermanence and the inevitability of suffering. These are not abstract academic concepts to be debated in ivory towers. These are the very real, tangible, visceral components of the human condition. They are not things we can simply wish away with a positive affirmation, however well-intentioned, or bury under a mountain of distractions, however entertaining. They are an inescapable part of the landscape of our lives, woven into the very fabric of our existence. To ignore them, to pretend they don't exist, to wrap ourselves in a comforting, often self-serving delusion that everything is fine when it so clearly is not, is to live a half-life. It's to exist as a mere shadow of what we are truly capable of. It's an act of profound self-deception, one that ultimately prevents us from growing, from truly connecting with others, from authentically thriving, and from achieving any meaningful, lasting change.
It's undeniably tempting, isn't it? So terribly, seductively easy to fall into the abyss of cynicism, to become jaded by the endless, often overwhelming parade of bad news, of broken promises, of persistent injustices. It's easy to throw up our hands in resignation, to declare with a sigh, "What's the point? Nothing ever changes. My voice is too small, my efforts too insignificant. I can't make a difference." But that, my dear friends, is the path of least resistance, and I promise you, with every fiber of my being, it leads nowhere good. It leads to apathy. It leads to isolation. It leads to the erosion of hope, that most precious of human commodities. It leads to the quiet surrender of our most fundamental human right, the right to strive for something better. No. The first and perhaps most radically profound act of our humanity, as Dr. West so brilliantly illuminates, is to face reality, to name the thing that holds you back, that holds us back as a collective, to understand the gravity of the challenge, the true depth of the wound, the sheer height of the mountain we must climb. This isn't about wallowing in despair, about indulging in victimhood, or about allowing ourselves to be paralyzed by fear. Absolutely not. This is about clear-eyed recognition, about developing a strategic awareness. It's about pulling back the curtain on the comforting illusions we often create for ourselves, the convenient narratives we cling to in order to avoid the uncomfortable, inconvenient truths. It's about knowing precisely what you're up against, because only then, armed with that clarity, with that stark awareness, with that unvarnished truth, can you truly begin to fight effectively. Only then can you strategize with precision, adapt with resilience, and innovate with creativity. Only then can you move from a reactive, defensive stance to a proactive, courageous posture. This honest encounter is not a surrender. It is the essential first step of a strategic warrior, a compassionate revolutionary, a fully awake, fully engaged human being. It is the beginning of true liberation. But Dr. West's profound wisdom does not, cannot, end with mere recognition of hardship, does it? His vision transcends simply acknowledging the difficulties we face. He calls us to something far greater, something far more challenging, and ultimately far more deeply rewarding than simply accepting our constraints. He calls us to courage, yet muster the courage to struggle compassionately. This isn't about a fleeting burst of adrenaline-fueled bravery, a momentary flash of heroism in the face of immediate danger. No, this is about a sustained, unwavering, almost defiant commitment to the fight for what is right, for what is just, for what is truly, authentically human. It's about getting knocked down not just once, not just twice, but 7 times, and finding that profound, unyielding, defiant will to get up an 8th. It's about showing up day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, even when the odds feel insurmountable, even when the progress seems agonizingly slow, even when the path ahead is shrouded in impenetrable doubt. It's about cultivating an inner fortitude that allows you to persist when others would simply give up. And listen closely to that word, that deeply transformative and often misunderstood word, compassionately. This isn't a struggle born of bitter anger, of corrosive resentment, of vengeful retribution, though righteous indignation certainly has its vital place and can be a powerful, mobilizing motivator for change. No, this is a struggle rooted in a deeper, more enduring, more expansive force: love. Love for ourselves, first and foremost, in all our glorious, messy, beautiful imperfection. Love for our fellow human beings, recognizing our shared vulnerability, our common struggles, and our deeply interconnected destinies. And love for the future we envision, a future brimming with justice, with genuine freedom, with radical empathy, and with authentic human flourishing for all. It's a struggle that understands that everyone is on their own unique journey, battling their own internal and external demons, carrying their own often invisible burdens, and that true, lasting, transformative change comes not from division, not from demonization, not from dehumanization, but from a profound place of shared humanity, from empathy, from understanding, from an abiding belief in the inherent worth and dignity of every single soul on this planet.
This fundamental compassion must, as its essential starting point, extend to ourselves. This, paradoxically, is often the hardest part for many of us. How often do we stand as our own harshest, most unforgiving critics, beating ourselves up relentlessly for our perceived failures, for our inevitable missteps, for not being enough by some impossibly high, often externally imposed, and frankly, unattainable standard? To struggle compassionately for our own unique individualities means to embrace who we are right now, in this precise moment, with all our beautiful flaws, all our quirks, and all our undeniable inherent brilliance. It means diligently nurturing our innate talents, however humble or grand they may seem in the grand scheme of things. It means honoring our deepest passions, the quiet whispers of our soul that tell us what truly brings us alive, what ignites our curiosity, what fills us with joy and purpose. And critically, it means standing firm in our core values, in our ethical convictions, in our moral compass, even when the relentless, powerful currents of the world try to mold us, to squeeze us into a shape that is not authentically our own, to conform us to a narrative that diminishes our essence. Remember this deeply personal truth: your voice, your unique perspective, your particular way of seeing the world, your very being, is a precious, irreplaceable gift to this intricate tapestry of existence, and it deserves to be heard, to be seen, to be celebrated, not just by others who may appreciate you, but by you yourself. Do not, under any circumstances, let anyone, whether an external critic or an internal saboteur, diminish your light. Do not let anyone tell you who you are supposed to be, what you are capable of, or what your perceived limits are. Be unapologetically, authentically, courageously you. That takes an immense amount of courage in a world that often demands conformity, that celebrates fitting in above all else, that often rewards the bland and the predictable. True individuality, lived with integrity, with self-awareness, and with a deep commitment to personal truth, is an act of profound rebellion, an act of radical self-love, and a vibrant testament to the boundless, unfathomable potential of the human spirit. It is the genesis of all true societal progress, for it is precisely from these diverse, unique perspectives that truly novel solutions, groundbreaking innovations, and expansive possibilities emerge, pushing the boundaries of what we collectively believe is possible. And our struggle, dear friends, does not, cannot, and must not end with ourselves. It cannot be confined to the realm of individual self-actualization. It reaches
outward, like ever-expanding ripples in a vast, interconnected pond, to touch every single person around us, to influence and ultimately transform the very structures of our shared existence. And for a more democratic and free society, this is the collective call. This is where individual courage, that inner fire we've cultivated, meets collective action, that unstoppable force of solidarity, community, and shared purpose. What does a more democratic and free society truly look like? Beyond the often empty textbook definitions, the political slogans, and the grand abstract pronouncements, it looks like a society where every single voice genuinely matters. Not just the loudest voices on social media, not just the wealthiest donors to political campaigns, not just the most privileged few who hold positions of power. It means actively, intentionally creating spaces, both physical and metaphorical, where every person can contribute their ideas, express their concerns, articulate their hopes, and be genuinely heard, respected, and valued, even when their opinions differ from the majority. It looks like a society where justice is not just a high-minded word in a legal code, a lofty ideal discussed exclusively in academic circles, or a distant aspiration for a future generation. No, it looks like a society where justice is a lived reality, a tangible, everyday experience for all people, regardless of their skin color, their economic status, their gender identity, their sexual orientation, their religious beliefs, their country of origin, their disability, or any other superficial label or characteristic that has historically been used to divide and oppress. A truly democratic and free society means fighting tirelessly, relentlessly, and strategically for equal opportunity for every human being. Not just the theoretical possibility that anyone could succeed, but the actual material conditions, the systemic support structures that allow every child, every teenager, every adult to realize their full, magnificent potential. It means demanding and building robust, equitable access to quality education for every single human being, from early childhood education to higher learning and lifelong vocational training. Because education is not merely a privilege, it is the fundamental bedrock of empowerment, of critical thinking, of social mobility, and of genuine liberation. It means advocating fiercely for healthcare that is recognized as a fundamental human right, not a luxury reserved for the affluent, ensuring that no one is ever forced to choose between their physical or mental well-being and financial ruin, between life-saving treatment and overwhelming debt. It means courageously and intelligently dismantling the entrenched systems that perpetuate inequality, the systemic racism that continues to poison our institutions, our policies, and our collective consciousness. The economic structures that relentlessly concentrate wealth in the hands of an ever smaller few while millions struggle to make ends meet. The patriarchal norms that limit the potential, suppress the voices, and undermine the autonomy of half the population. And simultaneously, with equal fervor and strategic intention, it means actively, consistently building bridges of understanding where walls of fear, ignorance, and prejudice once stood, casting long, destructive shadows. It means engaging in genuine, empathetic dialogue across political divides, across cultural barriers, across economic strata, seeking common ground even with those with whom we profoundly disagree, and recognizing always that our shared humanity, our shared fragility, and our shared longing for a better world is far more powerful than any artificial barrier, any manufactured animosity.
This struggle, make absolutely no mistake, is not a simple linear path. It is not a quick fix. It is not an easy victory. It will test your resolve to its absolute limits. It will challenge your deepest convictions. There will be setbacks,
painful defeats that feel like a punch to the gut, and moments of profound doubt that can shake you to your very core, making you question everything. There will be days, many days perhaps, when you feel utterly exhausted, deeply discouraged, and completely convinced that giving up is the only rational, logical, or even bearable option. The forces of inertia, of fear, of cynicism, of complacency are ancient and incredibly powerful. But remember this. Internalize this deeply resonant truth. Every single step forward, no matter how small, no matter how incremental, no matter how seemingly insignificant in the moment, is a profound victory. Every act of kindness, every defiant stand for justice, every moment of genuine, empathetic human connection, every single time you choose courage over comfort, compassion over indifference, action over apathy, all of these contribute to the grand, unfolding, miraculous tapestry of a better world. Your individual efforts, however modest they may feel in the moment, accumulate, they resonate, they inspire others, they create momentum. They are the undeniable seeds of revolution, not of violence or destruction, but of consciousness, of compassion, of collective liberation, and of an ever-expanding circle of human dignity. So, my friends, as you move forward from this sacred, reflective moment, as you step back into the vibrant, often challenging currents of your daily lives, I issue to you not just a challenge, but a profound invitation. An invitation to embody, to live out, to breathe life into the timeless, urgent truth of Dr. Cornel West's words. Let this be your guiding mantra, your daily practice, your unwavering commitment etched into your heart and mind. First, be profoundly, radically honest. Look unflinchingly at the constraints in your personal life, the internal limitations, the external barriers. Look with equal courage at the systemic injustices and moral failings in the world around you. Name them. Understand them. Do not flinch from the truth, however uncomfortable, however inconvenient, however painful it may be. This honest encounter, this radical acceptance of reality is not a surrender. It is the fertile ground from which all genuine growth, all meaningful change, and all authentic liberation springs forth. It is the beginning of wisdom. Second, muster your deepest courage. Not the reckless, impulsive kind that seeks momentary glory or external validation, but the deep, quiet, unwavering kind that fuels consistent, persistent action day in and day out. The kind that enables you to stand firm in the face of adversity, that allows you to take one more step forward when every fiber of your being screams at you to quit. This courage, remember, is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes, capable of moving mountains. Cultivate it through small, daily acts of defiance against fear and complacency. Third, struggle compassionately. Struggle with fierce love and unwavering commitment for your own unique self, for the sacred spark of genius and the inherent and alienable dignity that resides within you. Nurture it, protect it, express it fully and unapologetically. And simultaneously struggle with equal fervor, with boundless empathy, and with a revolutionary love for a world where freedom and justice are not just lofty ideals discussed in classrooms or preached from pulpits, but lived, breathed, tangible realities for every single member of the human family. Extend your empathy outwards, beyond your immediate circle. Seek to understand before being understood. Build bridges of understanding, of solidarity, of shared purpose, not walls of division or ignorance.
This, my friends, is the profound, the exhilarating, the deeply meaningful, and ultimately the redemptive act of being human. This is our shared responsibility, not just to ourselves, but to all who have walked this earth before us, whose struggles paved the way for our present freedoms. And it is our sacred responsibility to all who will follow, the generations unborn whose future depends on the choices we make, the actions we take, and the struggles we wage today. This is our legacy. This is the urgent, vital work we are called to do in this precious, fleeting time we have been given. Let's not merely exist, let's truly live with passion, purpose, and profound authenticity. Let's not merely survive, let's profoundly thrive in our own lives and in the communities we touch. Let's not just dream of a better world, let's build that better world, brick by brick, act by act, together, with courage, with compassion, and with an unshakable belief in the boundless, magnificent potential of the human spirit to overcome, to create, and to love. Now, as you leave this moment, consider this final question, an invitation to immediate action. What is one small, honest step you can take today, right now, to embody this profound humanity, to answer this call to courageous, compassionate struggle? The journey begins with that single step.